All right, guys, we got this is like a $45 cheap Klone pedal kit, available on Amazon, eBay. Look around, you can find them. I gotta say, the case looks really nice. It's in really nice, good shape. There's no scratches. It's a nice finish. It's smooth. It looks great. It comes in a box, and it's just in this little sleeve. Everything's just tucked inside. When you receive it, everything just tucks in. That's how it comes. Everything looks really good. We're going to go ahead and dump out our bag of parts and get a look at just the quality of our components here. Okay, first off, we got instructions. Shows you where the switch, the jacks, everything hooks up. Pretty basic. All of the part values are labeled on the circuit board, so it should be pretty easy to tell what goes where. Instructions sheet, pretty cut and dry, just standard stuff for building a pedal. So if you've ever built a pedal before, you should be able to roll through that. The circuit board looks nice. It's clearly marked. Looks to be fairly well made, double-sided. Pretty sturdy. I can't really flex it very much. Yeah, seems all right, to be honest, for just being a cheap pedal here. That seems really, really okay. Got our switch. Feels all right. Just generic switch. I don't see anything wrong with that. Jacks, they look fine as well. Switchcraft makes a jack very close to this. Very similar plastic bodied jack. Yeah, it really looks okay. I don't see anything to complain about with those. The knobs are really nice. Look at those. Those are going to look proper good on there, guys. Yeah. I'm getting excited about building this, just going through the parts. Standard power jack. It's got little rubber feet for the bottom. Comes with some lengths of wire, battery clip. All in all, I'd say so far really, really nice little package they got going. Our pots, I don't see a brand name on them, but these are the same kind of little mini pots you get in Boss pedals, and you're starting to see them in guitar amps and kind of all over the place. They feel nice and decently solid, nice smooth motion. I don't have a problem with that. I feel like those are, they might not be premium, they might not be best quality, but they feel fine. I don't think those are going to be a problem in there. We've got a bag of little resistors here. They are all marked, which is nice. As we go through and build, we'll just check as we go tolerances, see how in spec they are or not. I don't foresee any problems there. All right, our last bag, we've got. Ooh, look at that! Those are gold pins. Those are the nice sockets. Those are actually really nice. Yeah, that's premium stuff right there. Our IC chip sockets. Those are really, really nice parts. So that's really cool. Gold pins. Those are the good ones. Those are as nice as anything I use in my my own custom pedal builds. I'm really quite impressed. We've got some IC chips. Yeah, everything there looks fine. So there's a couple TL072s with Texas Instruments TI markings. This one is trying to read it here. LB23 ABS. Not super familiar with that chip, but here we go. We've got some diodes. Those look all right. Standard parts. Capacitors. Let's see what we've got. 105-degree temp caps, 1 UF. I'm not really seeing a brand name on here, so just generics. Some of these, like these 1 UF, I'll replace those with a poly cap. I won't use electrolytes there. Those are super cheap though. 47 UF, 50 volt. I'm gonna probably go ahead and dig through the parts bin. 4.7 UF. I should have, good quality Nichicon caps that I can replace all of those with. We do have a bunch of poly caps. We'll just go through one by one and we'll measure those and see how accurate they are, how close to tolerance they are, and decide if we're going to use those or not. They should be okay though, one would think. This little guy, 391. I'll see if I got a better cap for that. Guys, overall, like dead serious for being like a $40 pedal, this thing is. I'm super impressed with the quality of the circuit board. It seems first rate. It's really good circuit board. The enclosure, it's really nicely done. Nice aluminum box, pre-drilled, painted. I mean, I deal with suppliers where you can pay that much for a single box prepped and painted, like the price of the whole pedal. So that's there. It's got screws for the bottom. The knobs are super nice. The switch, the jacks seem nice. The pots. I mean, sure, I wish they would have come with a little better pot, but these are going to be fine. I wouldn't expect any problems or reliability issues with these. Metal film resistors should be fine. We'll check tolerances as we go. Most of these caps are probably completely good. There's probably nothing wrong with any of these. They're probably quite good quality stuff. But we will test components as we go, like I said. The only thing, I'm probably going to build this as is with all these components it came with, except for a little tiny cap here and our electrolytic caps, I'm just going to see if I got something better that can go in there. Cheap parts, guys, to replace though. All in all, when you consider an original can be, you know, I've seen them priced at $3,000 for an original Centaur pedal. So for $40, this is a deal. All right, guys, I found some new capacitors. Good Nichicon gold and Muse caps to replace these generic guys. Had some good 1UF caps to replace these electrolytics. Again, I would use a good poly cap any time over an electrolytic part for something of that value. This little guy here found a good WEMA cap to use in his place. Everything else in here, guys, all these other capacitors, all tested fine. They all tested okay. I don't see any problem at all using any of these. All the other caps in there. So just that few I changed. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start building. Anytime I'm doing one of these, I always, the instructions tell us to install the pots. It tells us to install the LED and some parts inside the chassis box. Then it says to solder in the op-amp sockets. So it's a little out of order how I normally do things. I will usually start very first off. I always start with the components that sit lowest to the circuit board, which is usually your resistors, your diodes, things like that. It just makes it easier if you start with whatever sits lowest to the circuit board. It just makes it easier to assemble and solder rather than starting with bigger components. So I'm going to do things the way I do things. So I'll go ahead. Again, these resistors, they look like they're all marked. And all our spots on the board are marked. So it should be no problem. I'll go ahead and get those assembled on the board, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, guys, so we got all those resistors sorted out, soldered in. I did check them all as I went. They're all very good tight tolerance parts. No, definitely no complaints there. Onto our diodes. I'll get those in next. Alright, diodes in. Nice and easy to do. We'll do our tube sockets next. Quick and easy. Good tip too is sockets like this are usually super cheap. You can buy a pack of 100 for a few bucks on eBay. Not a bad idea to have, just in case you ever get a kit that has IC chips and doesn't have sockets. You're way better off. You don't risk damaging your chips. Makes it really easy to swap out chips in the future. Anyway, I'll go ahead, I'll get these soldered in. Okay, we're moving pretty quick now. Sockets in. We'll do all of our capacitors next. Alright, we got all our capacitors in, these small ones. First real glitch I've ran into putting this together. I wanted to use our poly caps here, but they don't give us a lot of room to work. Not a lot of breathing room for those. So we're not going to use those. I do have some nice little gold Nichicons though that'll go in there. We'll get the rest of the caps in and show you what that looks like. Alright, we've got all of our capacitors in. I gotta say, I'm just super impressed with the quality of everything that comes with this kit. I did swap out. I used a few different capacitors than what came with the kit, but not terribly many, just a few bucks worth of parts to upgrade this a little bit. And that is a circuit board you would not, I mean, you could buy a $200, $300, $400 pedal and open it up. You wouldn't be upset if you saw this circuit board inside it. Next step will be to attach our different wires to the circuit board, and then we'll get the chassis ready for assembly. Alright guys, I've got all our lead wires attached, and I've got the pots just set into place. They are not soldered in place yet. And this is a step the instructions don't really mention, but what I would do with this, so I've got them just set into the circuit board, and they do kind of stay in place. And I've got the LED mounted and the power jack mounted. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the circuit board in the case. When I do that, I've got to line up the LED as well with those two holes. That needs to come through there. And then I'm going to tighten the pots down into the enclosure before I solder them. And that way, otherwise, if you just put the pots in and solder them in, they might not be even and level perfectly when you tighten them down, and that can put stress on your circuit board and solder joints. And that's actually a big problem with a lot of guitar amps you see with pots like this. You know, and you get a few of them, 2 or 3 in a pedal isn't bad, but when you get a row of 8 or 10 or 12 pots like this in a guitar amp, they're maybe not all even, and it creates strain, and eventually you get circuit boards, not circuit boards, guys, solder joints start to come apart. So by doing it this way, by tightening the pots on in place and then soldering it, it'll make that easier. Alright guys, I've got all the lead wires attached to the circuit board, as you can see. I've also got the pots just snap in. I do not have them soldered yet, if you can tell. There, maybe that'll focus a little better. Sorry about that. So you can see the pots are just snapped in. They're not soldered in yet, but they are tightened down into our box, as is our LED. And I've just got the circuit board set on. And the reason I do it this way is that anytime you're dealing with something where the pots mount directly to the circuit board, if you were to solder the pots on first, they might not be sitting completely level where they tighten into the box, and then you end up putting a lot of stresses on your circuit board and your solder joints, and over time you're going to have reliability problems with that. But that in place, I'm going to go ahead and get those soldered in, and I'll get our power jack soldered together here. One thing to note here too is our instructions are all just black and white, which is going to make it really interesting because you can't see very well where the wires on the switch go. So that's a little thing to figure out. So normally I would maybe put the colors together in a better order. I didn't spend time to figure out what's, which exact connection goes to positive, negative, whatever. So I just made sure I got, 3 colors. So it might not line up with where, positive, negative, whatever lines up, if that makes sense. But I'll get that done. All right, we've got all that wired in, and I ended up going online and finding some additional pictures and some other information, because our instructions we get are just not, you really can't tell what is what on this. So basically our center 3 here are not used, and then we're numbered on the circuit board 1 through 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My next step, I'll put the IC chips in. Make sure they go in the right place. So we've got 2 TL072 chips. Those should go in these 2 sockets over here. And then we've got our charge pump chip, 7660S. Should go in this one over by the power supply stuff. So we'll do that. We'll get the knobs on. We'll put the bottom cover on, and we'll see if it works. Alright guys, there it is. All put together. We plugged it in, tested it. This thing works great. It sounds great. Sounds exactly like you want a Centaur pedal to sound. Does all the things. The whole kit, like I said, I'm really super impressed with the quality of the circuit board. All the resistors were really tight, close, good tolerances. Came with good op amps, good IC chips. There were a small few capacitors that I did swap out for some better stuff. The ones that came with it were probably fine, but with electrolytic caps, I just don't trust when I see generic ones. The knobs are really nice and cool. It looks great. The finish is nice. There's plenty of videos out there showing what these things sound like, so I don't know if I feel a need to do that for you guys. But I definitely wanted to show you guys the build, start to finish. Great pedal. Definitely worth it for 40 bucks. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like our channel, subscribe.